Every day, you make thousands of choices: what to wear, what to eat, who to text back, what to believe. You call them decisions, but what if they're not? What if your choices aren't freedom, but reflex? You like to think you're in control, that your mind is a free agent, a compass guided by logic and will. But beneath awareness, something older, faster, and quieter is making the decisions before you even notice. This is the psychology of your daily choices, and you're not as free as you think. Every time you reach for your phone, you think you chose to. You didn't. Your dopamine system did. Your brain remembers that tiny hit of pleasure, that small rush of novelty, and it tells your hand to move before your conscious mind even agrees. You don't decide. You rationalize. The decision was already made in the shadows of your subconscious. Neuroscientists call this pre-activation, the brain preparing to act milliseconds before awareness kicks in. That delay, that invisible space between impulse and realization, is where your freedom gets rewritten. From the moment you wake up, your brain runs on autopilot. You brush your teeth with the same hand, take the same route, scroll the same apps, complain about the same things. 95% of what you do is repetition, not decision. Your mind, it really prefers familiarity over freedom. Because freedom requires energy, and energy costs survival. Your brain isn't built for happiness or self-expression, it's built for efficiency. It chooses the path of least resistance, the one that feels safe, predictable, known. So when you say, "That's just who I am," what you really mean is, "That's the program my brain keeps running." You believe your values shape your choices, but your environment shapes them first. The smell of food, the color of a button, the tone of a stranger's voice, each sends a signal your brain translates into preference. That's priming, the unconscious influence of subtle cues. Marketers, politicians, and algorithms understand it better than you do. They don't need to tell you what to want, they just need to design your environment so that wanting feels like your own idea. Buy, believe, belong. The illusion of choice is the most powerful psychological trick ever created, because when you feel free, you don't question who built the cage. Every choice you make passes through 3 invisible filters: emotion, memory, and bias. If a decision feels good, your brain, calls it right. If it feels familiar, your brain calls it safe. And if it confirms your beliefs, your brain calls it truth. But, feelings are not facts, they're echoes. Your past isn't gone, it's actually active, living inside your reactions. That's why you avoid what once hurt you, why you chase what once comforted you, and why you see patterns that may not even exist. The past is, the silent author of your daily choices. We like to believe thinking comes before action, but often it's actually the other way around. Your body moves, and then your brain explains. You justify decisions you never consciously made. That's confabulation, the brain's elegant way of keeping you sane. It doesn't really care about accuracy, it cares about coherence. It would rather give you a good story than an uncomfortable truth. So you say, "I just had a gut feeling. I changed my mind. I knew it all along." But beneath those phrases lies a quiet biological script, millions of years old, designed not for truth, but for survival. So, your daily choices are not just, singular events. They are actually patterns, loops of emotion, memory, and belief. Psychologists call this the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. Something triggers you, you react automatically, and then you get a reward. Even if that reward is just, relief. You open your phone, you get validation. You eat when anxious, you feel calm. That's how your brain learns, not really by reason, but by repetition. The more a pattern repeats, the deeper it becomes engraved in your neural pathways. That's neuroplasticity. The same force that traps you is the one that can free you. if you use it consciously. So, are we puppets? Not exactly. You still have free will, but it's smaller than you think. Freedom doesn't live in your impulses. It lives in the space between them, that tiny pause, when you notice the urge but don't obey it. That's where awareness lives, and awareness is where your script can change. Every time you stop before reacting, every time you question why you want something, you are reclaiming choice from your subconscious. Freedom isn't the absence of control, it's the presence of awareness. You think you choose your path, but often, your path chooses you, until you learn to see the mechanisms beneath it. Once you do, you begin to notice how thought, memory, and feeling intertwine like threads in a tapestry. Here's an interesting example to consider. You're taking a walk in the woods when the path you've been following splits into two. The path to the right takes you into a dark, spooky-looking cluster of trees. The path to the left veers off into a muddy swamp. Which do you decide? Rational choice theory, based on the ideas of economist Adam Smith in 1776, is one of the leading theories behind psychological factors involved in decision-making. The theory says that we make rational decisions by choosing the option which aligns best with our own interests and objectives. In this case, if you're thinking of heading straight to a restaurant after your walk and don't want to turn up covered in mud, you're likely to choose the path through the trees. However, many economists and psychologists dispute rational choice theory based on one thing in particular: the impact of emotions. It turns out that our emotions have a significant impact on the decisions we make and can override a rational decision. That's why in the example above you might continue through the muddy swamp even if you rationalize that going through the spooky cluster of trees is the better choice. Because, well, the trees look scary. You begin to sense that what you call preference might just be programming, and from that awareness comes power. Not the power to control everything, but the power to observe everything. Consider for a moment the sheer volume of decisions you navigate daily, from the seemingly trivial, what to eat for breakfast, what route to take to work, to the more significant, career moves, relationship choices, financial planning. Beneath the surface of these choices lies a complex interplay of psychological forces. It's not just about logic and reason. Our minds are constantly nudging us in directions shaped by emotions, ingrained habits, and unconscious biases. Understanding these psychological undercurrents can illuminate why we choose what we choose, and how we can make choices that truly align with our values, especially in the context of living a more sustainable life. Psychology plays a foundational role in shaping our daily decisions, influencing everything from our eating habits to our environmental actions. Think about your morning coffee. Is it a conscious decision rooted in a need for caffeine, or is it a ritual, a habit, ingrained over time? Perhaps it's tied to social connection, meeting a friend at a cafe. Each of these layers, the physiological need, the habitual behavior, the social desire, falls under the domain of psychology. It explores the motivations that drive us, the cognitive shortcuts we employ to simplify decision-making, and the emotional landscape that colors our perceptions. Recognizing these influences is the first step toward taking more deliberate control over our choices, steering them towards outcomes that benefit both ourselves and the wider world. Even seemingly straightforward choices are often underpinned by surprisingly intricate psychological processes. Take, for example, the decision to buy a new item, say a piece of clothing. On the surface, it might appear to be a practical decision based on need or desire. However, psychological factors such as social comparison, seeing what others have, emotional needs, seeking comfort or validation through purchases, and marketing influences, clever advertising and branding, come into play. These forces operate subtly, often below our conscious awareness, yet they significantly shape our purchasing habits and contribute to broader consumption patterns. Difficult decisions are a part of life. Moving, changing jobs, ending relationships. Whether we like it or not, we can't coast through life without making some tough calls along the way. The problem with difficult decisions is that they usually involve difficult choices, whether that's choosing how to cut costs, or choosing which way to steer your marketing strategy. In choosing one thing, you're inevitably sacrificing another. There's a leap of faith you have to take, hoping the road you go down is the one that gets you to where you need to be. We make countless decisions every day, and the psychology behind decision-making is fascinating, offering all of us a chance to gain some perspective on our hard choices. Let's take a look at some of the psychological principles that influence decision-making, and how we can make better and easier choices in future. The psychology of choice looks at how we make decisions and what influences those choices. It dives into the mental processes we use to weigh our multiple options, the biases that can cloud our judgment, and the emotional and cognitive factors at play. This field pulls together ideas from psychology, behavioral economics, neuroscience, and behavioral science to figure out why we pick what we do and how we can get better at making decisions. Observation breaks automation. Reflection rewrites habit. Awareness reclaims freedom. You are not the sum of your impulses. You are the witness behind them. And the day you understand that is the day you stop being ruled by your mind and start leading it. You are not as free as you think, but you are far more powerful than you've ever believed. Awareness rewrites reality.